to me, I don't think there's anything else that can happen in the near term that pushes price up any further, right? You've had the ETFs, you've had the president of the States saying, you know, buy Bitcoin, I've launched my own meme token. We come to the question of how do we generate a sustainable long-term economy on Bitcoin? Because this first wave of economic activity we had on Bitcoin, with people trading meme tokens, with people trading NFTs or ordinals, it's not necessarily sustainable. So how can we get people to use Bitcoin and, you know, contribute to the longevity of its existence? And there's a lot of projects out there. Like, I'm not affiliated with Arch in any way, but it's by far my personal favorite out of all the solutions out there, because Arch Network ensures that whatever economic activity it generates, whether it's through DeFi markets, lending yield, whatever it is, it all comes back to the base layer of Bitcoin. So it ensures that it's settled on Bitcoin and the miners get paid, which basically allows us to sort of turn towards a longer term sustainable economy. So what is Arch? Everything that you see on Ethereum or Solana is powered by smart contracts. So it allows you to borrow, it allows you to lend, it allows you to trade, it allows you to bring other tokens on chain, tokenize gold, commodities, whatever it is, but onto Bitcoin, like actually onto the base layer of Bitcoin, which has never been done before. There are other scaling solutions out there, which we don't really need to go into, but the key difference here is that the money doesn't actually come back to Bitcoin. It stays abstracted somewhere else, and it doesn't actually help to secure Bitcoin, the Bitcoin chain itself. And there's also another interesting sort of aspect of this as well, which is you have a lot of institutions that want to bring new capital, or I should say tokenized versions of like financial products they have, whether it's bonds, whether it's like real estate or gold. And the only chain that actually has enough liquidity and depth to like really be able to onboard this capital and actually unlock new capital is Bitcoin. Because before Bitcoin, before Arch, let's say, the only thing you could do with Bitcoin is send and receive. And only recently have more people been able to access Bitcoin through the ETFs that started last year. And Bitcoin is a $2 trillion asset, which has the deepest liquidity of any crypto out there. Outside of Ethereum, Solana, it is miles ahead. And even on top of that, the stable coins that are circulating, which are digital dollars basically, that are on Ethereum and Solana, they do not have enough depth. There simply is not enough of them to actually support real institutional capital coming on chain, which is why Arch Network is so interesting to me. And it's not live yet, but it is like something that I think is coming out next year. And, you know, if it comes out and if we take a step back, I guess, and it's able to deliver on, you know, what it's trying to do, which is to bring programmability to Bitcoin, to bring, you know, increased fees and security to Bitcoin. If you're able to have all of the things you have on Ethereum, on Solana, on Binance Chain, but on Bitcoin, there's a scenario where there's no reason for any of these other chains to exist, which I think is like a really fascinating thing to think about, because you might see, if all of the other things we talked about today hold true, you might see a sort of reverse vampire attack where basically everyone just ends up using Bitcoin, and the likes of Ethereum, Solana, Binance Chain basically have no value. Because if you can settle everything onto, you know, the mother chain that's been around for the longest amount of time, that has the deepest liquidity, that has everything else that all of these other chains have, there's basically no reason to use Ethereum, Solana, Binance Chain, or to hold any of those assets either outside of Bitcoin, which I think is pretty interesting. And I think a lot of people haven't really considered this scenario because it is a little bit niche and a little bit out there. But I think it's really fascinating.
Maybe we can just jump right in, because you're talking about on-chain a lot and about the Bitcoin economy, and you're clearly very passionate about it. So maybe we can start with that and see, okay, because obviously probably everyone on this call may have heard about how Bitcoin is performing right now. And so what would you say, looking at the recent developments when it comes to the BTC price? Where's Bitcoin headed now, and let's say the next year or so? Is this just a typical end of year kind of fluctuation, or do you see something bigger happening? Is it in connection with the halving and so on?
Is that a question about price, like the price of Bitcoin?
Price and adoption also, yes.
Price, I mean, no, I don't have a glass orb, so I don't know, is the answer. But if I had to guess, I think 2026 probably be bearish in comparison to this year, if I had to guess. And in terms of adoption, like, I think all of the infrastructure is in place now, right? Like, you're able to buy Bitcoin through the ETFs, institutions are able to buy it, retail is able to buy it. And some people think that might result in sort of more mature price action and sort of less fluctuations. Whether that holds true, like, I'm not sure. Let's see.
Yeah, no, of course we won't know until we're there. Of course, hindsight is 2020. But I'm curious, because you said that your estimate would be that it's probably going to be more bearish in comparison. So is that connected to the increasing amount of products, or to the interconnected really ecosystem of BTC, or what makes you say that probably it's going to be more bearish than it was before?
I guess for me, like, I think price is really driven by narrative, and also liquidity as well. But I like to focus on narrative. And to me, I don't think there's anything else that can happen in the near term that pushes price up any further, right? You've had the ETFs, you've had the president of the States saying, buy Bitcoin, I've launched my own meme token. Like, I genuinely can't think of anything that can top that in the near future. So, yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. So if given that, obviously you're passionate about BTC, but how would you then, I mean, obviously this is not investment advice, right? We're just having intellectual discussions, just a disclaimer for everyone now, and also in the rest of the webinar, no investment advice. But what would you tell, investors, if you want to be smart, how would you position yourself now? Again, given that, end of the year, and then also what you were saying about maybe 2026.
Oh, that's a good question. I think if you're new to crypto, I'd say just focus on Bitcoin. I think it's the only one that I'd be able to recommend to anyone on that has a long enough time frame, because Ethereum, Solana, they don't really have like a moat per se, right? Like, there's no reason why there isn't a more interesting chain that comes along in 2 years. Like, we kind of saw it with like Hyperliquid, right? It was like Ethereum, then it was Solana, then it was Hyperliquid, and there might be something else. And they're all chains to do with programmability. So what can you actually do on it, and can you build apps on it? Whereas Bitcoin is kind of different in that it's a store of value, really, or like at least treated as a store of value. And like, nobody's really been able to dethrone it in that way. And because it's been around for so long, like the Lindy effect makes it so strong that it's going to be it has the best chance of being around in 10, 20, 50 years, right? So I'd say just stick with Bitcoin, or at least start with Bitcoin to begin with, and make sure you DCA. So pick like every month, let's say, and don't overinvest, right? Like, that's probably because it will go lower than you think it can go on the downside. And also on the inverse also goes way higher than you could possibly think as well. So make some rules and stick to them, I'd say, is the way to do it.